desperate situation calls for desperate solution. Nigeria's situation is a desperate one that calls for us to take certain desperate steps to rescue and to bring this country at the precipice. And not talking about restructuring or not going for restructuring, not looking at the outcome, the good aspect of the outcome of 2014 conference, is just postponing the evil days. I'm afraid.
The only way we can get out of things like the Northeast insurgency called Boko Haram, the Middle Belt killings by the Fulani headsmen, the Southeast call for a Biafra, the Niger Delta militancy, is by removing power from the center and giving it to the states. I keep saying to people, the judicial system we have now cannot catch a thief. It can only catch a thief that stole a goat or pick up your gun from the hanger where you put it. But those who steal big, all you need is to steal enough to make room for one or two sons who will help you argue technicalities until the life of the government is over.
When the chicken finally comes home to roost, and when the market is on fire, and even the blind and the deaf will get to know because the heat will be generated. I wasn't just at the 2014 National Conference, with all respect, without humility. I was at the 2005 National Political Reform Conference. I was at the 1999 Vision 2020 Conference. And I was at the 2014 National Conference, where all these issues concerning restructuring, devolution of power, through fiscal federalism, continue to come up again and again, like a recurring decimal.
Why should the Igbo man say it should be an Igbo presidency? Why should a Southwesterner say, I want a Yoruba man to be there? Why should Hausa people say, it's because we just not the same people. We don't trust ourselves. Even the referendum is not in the constitution.
Exactly.
So exactly. I don't even know how the referendum could be conducted, assuming we are able to conduct a referendum. It's going back to the National Assembly that will kill it because it doesn't favor them. Nobody hands over power gently, ordinarily, voluntarily.
See, take your time, listen to this video, watch to the end. What you are going to listen to on this video, very interesting. It will shock you. They'll let them speak one after the other. They'll take you way back to 2014. The CONFA, the Nigeria National Conference, they did in 2014, what they discussed then. Why are these things still happening today? Everything they talked about, why are those things? And this country is not going to work under one leadership. They need to restructure this country. They need to take this country back to even national, regional system of government. Even way beyond 2014, all the conferences, Vision 2020, what is happening today? What is happening today? Why are we still here talking about the same thing? That this country is not going to work under one leadership. Take your time, watch this video to the end. We'll come back and talk about it. And please don't forget to share, like, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'll be your guy around for me so that you don't miss updates like this next time.
Restructuring, we can move forward, because the structure we have now is lopsided. All these agitations going on, what are they asking for? Equality. There's no equality anywhere. Okay, then you have huge gaps. It's either even in the purchasing power of the people. There's so much poverty everywhere. Now you talk about justice. There's no justice. There's no fairness. These are all the things, fundamentals that we need in building a nation. There's no way Nigeria can become a nation. Nigeria is a country because everybody's interested in what they can grab from the natural resources. A nation, Nigeria should be focused on mining the mines of the people, but we're not doing that. We're not thinking. So to be a nation, we have a common goal, and that's why the summit group, Nigeria Summit Group, is talking about. There is no way we can move from point A to point B without going back to the fundamental issue of restructuring Nigeria. Let's take for example, before the military incursion in politics in the 60s, Nigeria had this regional government, and there was this what we call a healthy competitive communalism, where different regions were competing for one another, competing in the west here. All over they set up WNDC, in the north they set up different things, in the east they set up different things. And because of that arrangement, the Hijacking industrial estate came into being. There are other industrial estates too, okay, and they were contributing about 50%. This oil contributing 60% to 50% to the federal government. 50% was retained in this. But it was when the military took over in 1966 that this form of government that we have today, unitary, call it democracy or not, or whatever name you give it, is still unitary system that we operate. So without going back to restructure Nigeria, so that everybody will have freedom, and have a right to live anywhere, to work anywhere in the north. If you're not from there, Lebanese and Indians have more rights in the north than Nigerians. Any southerner having a job in the north is on contract basis.
Do we need restructuring? I will say yes. Is restructuring our problem? I will say emphatically no. We as a nation, we had a faulty political foundation that has been militating against our advancement as a nation. We have deliberately, through our attitude rather than the structure, held ourselves down to underdevelopment as a nation. Now, what I meant by this is that our politics has been preponderantly a selfish politics, a politics of let my people rule. That is the politics we have enthroned, and because of this, every other things had suffered dislocations. Now, even the attempt at restructuring that was so placed on us one or two times in the recent past during this our democratic experiment, the first one by President Olusegun Obasanjo and the last one by President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, they cannot be said to be representative of the desire of Nigeria to lay a new foundation that will be based on love, constructive engagements, diminished selfishness, and the necessity to give our people a better life. Rather, they were political conscriptions that were intended for selfish reasons. And classically, the word or connotation of restructuring has recently become a slogan of selfishness that is not well intended. But like I said at the beginning of my intervention, do we need restructuring? Yes, we need restructuring. For example, in the last conference that was fostered on us by President Jonathan, I happen to have this particular experience. I am speaking on air of this experience for the very first time. Late Dr. Tunji Braithwaite invited me, said come and escort me to a very important meeting called by members of the Constitutional Conference from the South-South. And I went with Dr. Tunji Braithwaite at Ladi Kwali Hall. During that meeting, I was open.
Can I interrupt you?
To listen to what Nigerian. Yes, please let me paint this picture because it will help you. Now, I heard the people saying, these people from the north, these our brothers from the north, and the rest of it, and the whole thing was so disgusting. I said, are these political leaders? If the northern segment also calls such a meeting, or the Yoruba nation calls such a meeting, honestly, it is to be titled How Not to Build a Nation, and it is most unfortunate. Do you know, Tunji Braithwaite angrily walked out of that meeting and said, this is arrant nonsense. And I felt relief when I saw people like Tunji Braithwaite called it an arrant nonsense. So with such spirit, our restructuring will continue to roll and hit the rock, except we cultivate the right mental attitude towards the constructive engagement for restructuring. I will say we should probably re-engineer ourselves, recondition our mind to go into a new conference that will ensure that we set the nation, the larger picture of the nation, in front of our eyes, and not our political maneuvering to get political cheap political goals.
I don't know why everybody is like, they're not thinking. The state governors have surrendered their thinking caps to it's like this big father, like Americans will say, the Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam.
Everybody takes this into Abuja. Now, not minding that, there are certain things that you can do. In a study done by a government agency, it was discovered that at least two items in all the 774 local government where you can build a cluster of industries without going to Abuja. A state can survive. Today, no state can pay a salary because of the structure. So we need to begin to hold state responsible. If it's to go back to regional government, fine. But there was a system which I personally, plus with one of my some of my friends, we contributed to the national conference, and that is to introduce some collegiate presidency, whereby the political parties, there will be a college of presidents whereby the 6 regions will contribute 1%, so that they will collectively run the presidency. Because today, in this knowledge economy, even having 1% to decide that for a whole 170 million is very challenging. Companies are doing it. Unilever Global, they don't have one CEO. They have a couple of them. So we need to begin to have more than one CEO running a nation.
And handle Nigeria like a business entity.
Yes, handle Nigeria like a business entity. American system has lasted for years.
Indeed.
And they've evolved.
Restructuring, redoing our foundation. He said when the foundation is faulty, the superstructure will not stand. We got it right at independence. The basis of our staying together as an entity, as a nation, was negotiated and agreed by the founding fathers. But like Tony said, in 1966, a unity system was foisted on us, and that agreement was pushed aside. And since then, we entered into this problem of suspicion, mutual suspicion. We can't stay together if we don't trust ourselves, if we don't believe in ourselves. I keep saying to people, Nigeria, yes, but we are different people forced together. And that's why you're talking about devolution of power. And I agree completely that the center has been too attractive, too powerful. An average Nigerian will ask you, sometimes you wonder, why are people clamoring that their own person should be in the presidency? Why don't we look for the best person that have the love and the interest of this country at heart? Why should the Igbo man say it should be an Igbo presidency? Why should a Southwesterner say, I want a Yoruba man to be there? Why should Hausa people say, it's because we just not the same people. We don't trust ourselves, and there's so much power at the center. I ask myself, if you put an Igbo person there, or a Yoruba person, or Hausa person there, is he going there for his own people? Is he going there to go and take the resources of this country and give to his own people? Is he not supposed to be the welfare of all? But the truth is, this presidential system, because I'm not just looking at restructuring the entity called Nigeria, even the political system has to be restructured, because that has been hijacked. So the people
when you say hijacked, how do you mean? You need to break it down.
I'll break it down. We're talking about the best person, the person who has the wherewithal, the mental capacity, the patriotic zeal, the love of the country to rule. That can never emerge in the system in which we are. That there are political fathers, there are political warlords that will produce who you vote for. And we are doing grassroots politics. It is a democratic system. Our constitution has not given room for independent candidates. So the party had to produce the candidate you vote for. Who is doing out the party? The parties are owned by fathers who put their cronies there. As I was driving down here this afternoon, I saw posters of councillors, a councillorship candidate in Lagos, and somebody was saying to me, these ones that are campaigning, who put them there? Who nominated them? Who brought them? So the party. Who was the party? 90% of the people you have in our National Assembly and state assemblies are cronies. So the political system itself has to be restructured so that the people, they are supposed to be representative of the people. Each time members of our National Assembly comes up to say, we represent the people, I laugh. Because we don't even know them. You either fight your way there, butt your way there, or get a political godfather that says, go and represent me there. So until we have that level of restructuring, the entity called Nigeria has to be restructured so that same people with the same value, with the same motive, with the same orientation can live together and do their things the way they want it. But nationally, we can come together and agree on the binding forces, like you said when you were doing the introduction, the military, the international relation, the Naira and all the rest of it. But what does the federal government have to do with a sinking borehole in a local government or a primary school within a community? So restructuring, hijacking the political system, that I mean is that the elite, the people who, the patriotic Nigerians, are edged out. They are never in the system. Should he want to be a governor of his state today, the first thing that will happen is to go to the political godfather of that area, who will have his own candidate, has his own person, because he has no political structure. So those who own the political structure determine who is presented for voting. At the end of the day, Nigerians are voting for people they don't know, no track record. Okay. You begin to vote for criminals, vote for thieves, because that is what the owners of the political structure from place to place are presented.
All right, now I come back to you, Tony. You were part of the 2014 confab, and there were recommendations made, which a lot of people are clamoring for now, and it was said that the former President Johnson tried to implement certain things, but now there's been calls that there should be implementation of what was decided at the 2014 confab. Now, you could give us details of what was agreed and if it is something we should look into.
The problem is this. The recommendations are voluminous, but the simple needs are those of devolution, rights. I'll give you a small example. This country now bases all its governance on sharing of wealth. Governors go into Abuja to share wealth. At the moment, wealth that comes only from the Niger Delta. Whereas every area of this country has more than enough resources to develop and grow its own self. In fact, even the Niger Delta has not grown as well as could have, because the governors and the systems of governance there have been lazy and not inclined or motivated to add value to their resources. And of all those resources, the most important resource we've neglected is the human resource. Now, if we were to return, say, to the 1963 Constitution that stipulated that every federating unit, then we had regions. Now, for example, we have states. Every federating unit is to produce, attract revenue, pay a tax to the center, and develop according to its own choice. So, the way Awolowo did for Southwest was, he decided that Akoko will first of all develop people. And the Southwest has benefited immensely by the free education, from the free education and other things that Chief Awolowo put in place. The Sadana of Sokoto now decided, I'll follow suit. He set up, when I was set up the Dublin TV, he said first in Africa. Okwara set up the ENTV, he said second to none. Now there was this healthy rivalry, but now you find that whilst then we all, for example, went to school based on merit, now we all are forced to wait for the slowest child to catch up, because I cannot in my state decide to develop our children at the pace I would like. I have to make sure that the children in my state are developed pari passu with the children, say, in Nasarawa State, in Jigawa State, in Sokoto State. Now, this is not the best thing for development. We could have been better developed, for example, if the Niger Delta governors knew that whatever they get from oil and gas, they have to plow back to either add value to oil and gas or develop other resources. They're not doing that. And because everybody else, we've got this rentier mentality, which says just go monthly to Abuja, collect money, come back to the state capital, or local government chairman come in, you share the money again. Nobody is interested in wealth creation.
What came out of that confab will go a long way to solve all these problems we have. Just like you here said, and we have just seen you reiterating it now. You spoke about setting up a special court to try corruption. Let's pick out the good things. Let's look for a few people, look at it very well. Initially, we didn't want to accept this because we doubted the sincerity of the man that set it up. But now we are there, and the country has to move on. And we could pick up the good things here and then go for a referendum. Look, the constitution itself must be tinkered with. I keep saying to people, the judicial system we have now cannot catch a thief. It can only catch a thief that stole a goat or pick up your gun from the hanger where you put it. But those who steal big, all you need is to steal enough to make room for one or two sons who will help you argue technicalities until the life of the government is over.
So are you saying our
convicted?
call and fight against corruption is an exercise in futility?
As it is, we don't have the system, and the law itself must be changed. You see, desperate situation calls for desperate solution. Nigeria's situation is a desperate one that calls for us to take certain desperate steps to rescue and to bring this country at the precipice. And not talking about restructuring or not going for restructuring, not looking at the outcome, the good aspect of the outcome of 2014 confab, is just postponing the evil days. I'm afraid.
I thank you, Mr. Okimbaloye. When the chicken finally comes home to roost, and when the market is on fire, and even the blind and the deaf will get to know because the heat will be generated. I wasn't just at the 2014 National Conference, without respect, without humility. I was at the 2005 National Political Reform Conference. I was at the 1999 Vision 2020 Conference. And I was at the 2014 National Conference, where all these issues concerning restructuring, devolution of power, through fiscal federalism, continue to come up again and again like a recurring decimal. But each time we did a good job. Like during the 2014 National Conference, when the best first 11 of Nigeria, that one person who used to be secretary to the government of the federation, called boys, he said it was giving jobs to the boys. We got the best from Nigeria, first class traditional rulers, professionals, the youth, artisan, market women, students, the academia, the labor, trade unions, retired police officers, military officers. In fact, the who is who in Nigeria. They were at that conference. And after argument for about 6 months, at times almost coming to blows, we finally reached so many consensual decisions. One of them was this restructuring, devolution of power. So, I'm not just a lawyer, with all respect, I'm an historian. So I like at times to situate my discourse within the perspective of history. Because today is the tomorrow you discussed yesterday. I'm calling on the federal government to bring back history to our syllabus because we are losing something. Nigeria is not like America in terms of federalism. In the United States of America, after their declaration of independence in 1776, they met in this place in Philadelphia. They were already regionally autonomous, and they said we needed to have a more perfect union. That was how they ceded powers to a government that they formed at the center. But in Nigeria, all regional blocks were already autonomous. The Benin Empire, the Kane Bonu Empire, the Sokoto Caliphate, the Oyo Empire, they already existed in their full bloom with all powers to do all things. That was why Oba Overamin Ogbaise in 1787 was able to beat the British with bare knuckles, which led to the 1897 punitive Benin expedition. But somehow, Lord Lugard, on the 1st of January 1914, after he married a young lady called Flora Shaw, who actually gave Nigeria her name in an 1897 article she wrote in the London Financial Times. After Niger area, she later married Lord Lugard, who was then the governor of northern Nigeria. And Lord Lugard decided to calibrate and collapse the southern protectorate, which had already merged with the Lagos colony, with the northern protectorate to form the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Since then, there have been these combustive implosions. So when you talk about restructuring, some people are afraid of it. I will say no. Restructuring does not mean balkanization. It's not Southern and it's not Southern Sudan and Sudan. Okay. Afro, Indian, Pakistan, Afghanistan. They were once one country.
No.
Alpha, did you listen to that? Good and fine. Very interesting. And that is it. And not let anybody deceive you. This country is not going to work under one leadership. It's not going to work under one leadership. Everybody fed up being in Nigeria as one, Nigeria as one. But because people are tired, they want to go. And it's not working. The Yoruba are pushing harder. The Northerners are pushing harder. They want to go restructure this country or take this country back to a regional system of government. let's see. But if one government fail, actually 3 of them will not fail at the same time. I've said this before. Do you understand? And now, if they see one of those people, one of them, pastor is the one telling you, not like others who knows the truth, who will see red and tell you who tell you this red is black, who tells you that the problem of this country is spiritual. You need 100 days fasting and prayer to solve it. Things like that, because it's not going to work. It's not working. These are not the problem. Regional system of government. One government cannot do it. That's it. So I think very soon, and if Tinubu could do that now, let this happen under his leadership, history will not forget you. Nobody. History will not forget you. If you make this possible, divide this country. People, it's just the name. Everybody, it's just the name. Just the name, Nigeria. That we are one leaders. I mean, we are one Nigerians. Just the name. Every other thing, hatred, tribal war, ethnic issue, problem here and there. People want to go. It's not going to work. The hatred is too much. Anyways, please share this video and follow this page. Subscribe to this YouTube channel.